Greetings. This is Paul the Poke from PaulthePoke.com. Welcome to This Week in Prophecy. Israel has moved into Gaza. It's been a minute, so we can start to get a little bit of the lay of the land as to what's happening. Got all kinds of military activity going on throughout the Middle East. We have a new Speaker of the House, Mr. Speaker. Also going to take a look at how the squad, what their actions were in relation to all of this. And we're going to close up with Hurricane Otis in Acapulco. That's a crazy story. I mean, otherwise that would be the lead story if it weren't for all the things happening in the Middle East. And before we get to going there, I'm going to take a look at Luke 21, verse 9. A lot of times we'll look at the Matthew passage, wars and rumors of wars. Luke reads a little bit different. And, it seems like we just keep repeating a lot of these over and over. And I'm just going to take a little bit of time to take a look at the specifics of Luke 21, verse 9. When you hear of wars and rebellions, do not be alarmed. These things must happen first, but the end is not imminent. And that would be Bible Hub's translation of this. And so we'll take a look at some of the words over here in the far right column. So like rebellions, akatastastos, I cannot hardly say that. Instability, disorder is the idea. And, a lot, and this is just good practical advice we're getting here from Jesus. Do not be alarmed. I mean, he's not telling us this stuff, so we're scared or as some people would say, I'm just out here promoting fear porn. No, that's not the point. It's like, hey, these things are going to happen. I'm letting you know what's going to happen. And I'm also going to let you know how it ends. So he's given us information. Hey, these things are going to happen first, but the end is not imminent. So this is going to, eutheos immediately, soon, at once. It's not like, hey, this is it. This is the beginning of the end. Jesus is saying, nope, these things got to happen first. And, if this is the time that we're watching, this is going to be a process. This is not going to happen all at once, but, a step leading up to 7 years of tribulation and an series of events that are taking place that must happen first, but the end is not imminent. So we have this information so we know what's coming. And the point of us is not to be alarmed, not to be scared, terrified, or stricken with panic. He's telling us it's going to happen. Easier said than done. But that's the point of this. It's to give you a roadmap of what's coming. It's not to scare you. And with that, we're going to get to, essentially what happened on Friday. And the first thing that happened is per NetBlocks, the internet communications got cut off. Israel cut off communications to the Gaza Strip. And NetBlocks chronicled this. Things went dark. Things went quiet. And there was a little bit of a pause. And then Israel started moving troops into the Gaza Strip. Now, as of right now, internet and communications are being partially restored. I think Elon Musk has turned on some satellites for internet access as well, has helped out with some of that. It's not completely, but it has been restored to some condition. Also, we're going to take a look at, this has been going on long enough now. I'm going to take a look at this tweet or zeet from the Institute for the Study of War. And this is a series of tweets. And we're going to take these in order. Links provided for all of this stuff, by the way. Israeli ground forces advance into the Gaza Strip. We're going to look at this map over here on the left. He hits the highlights with this. Al-Qassam brigades claim to attack advancing IDF forces. That would be here in the middle part of the Gaza Strip. And we'll get into all these other areas. They're going to back out, take a look at all of Israel, the West Bank, and we're also going to go to the north on the Lebanese border. And we got some activity in the Golan Heights, launching some stuff probably from Syria. Lebanese Hezbollah continued a static level of attacks on Israeli military positions along the border. Again, we're going to talk about ground forces into Gaza. Iran-backed militia attacked 3 U.S. bases in Syria. We got a map on that. We're going to review that. And Hamas called for attacks on Israeli settlements in the West Bank. So with that, if you're interested, Institute for the Study of War has launched an interactive map of Israeli ground operations to accompany our daily campaign assessments of what's taking place. Click on this link here and you can go to the interactive map. We're going to take a look at Palestinian militias continued attacks at their usual rate from Gaza into Israel, and this was yesterday, October 28th. Al-Qassam brigades claimed to fire rockets at Dimona for the first time since the war started, and that would be, I want to say, pretty much in the middle. Well, they fired the rockets at Tel Aviv, injuring citizens. Some of those did get through the Iron Dome defense system, and I think the strategy they're starting to employ, instead of firing just a few rockets, fire a whole bunch of them and see if Iron Dome can handle that. Now, there's going to be a response they're going to use to try to manage that a little better. United States is bringing in assets and resources to help assist and manage with that as well. Lion's Den, the West Bank, Palestinian militia appeared to implicitly call for further mobilization and violence against Israel in the West Bank after the IDF conducted ground operations into the Gaza Strip. That's been pretty quiet so far. And this would be the West Bank. Jerusalem right here. Follow the cursor. There's Bethlehem, Dead Sea, Jordan River, and pretty much a lot of the area where Jesus held his ministry to the north of Jerusalem. Iran-backed militants, including Hezbollah, conducted 12 attacks into Israel as part of an ongoing attack targeting IDF radar and sensor sites and military targets. Now they are hitting some of those targets. Now they're just showing you their successes. There are a lot of misses, and some people are making fun of them for missing. I don't know that I'd be wanting to poke the bear there a little bit, but they're not as accurate as their propaganda would suggest they are. And then that said, Israel's not as they're taking a lot of them out of the sky, but if some of them get through, some of the missiles get through, hit their targets. And then this is the Islamic Resistance in Iraq coalition of Iranian-backed Iraqi militias have attacked U.S. forces at Al-Tanf garrison, eastern Syria, October 27th. And then we get into a little bit of a discussion about who actually attacked what, who's confirming it. And so it's color-coded. If it's in the black here, U.S. officials are confirming these targets in black were hit. If it's red, that's the Shia militants, Iranian-backed militants are saying, yep, we've hit this. And they're going after some oil fields. Other bases, airports. And then if it's gray, third-party sources have confirmed or are in agreement that these places were hit, which includes the Baghdad International Airport, the Erbil International Airport in northern Iraq was hit, according to Islamic resistance groups. Again, oil field sites, third party, and the United States is quiet, not confirming. Oh, hey, I don't mess with the oil. But those opposed to the United States are saying, "Yep, we hit some oil places." Another major airport up here in the northern part of Syria, Abu Hajar Airport. I think that's in Syria. But you can see some of the things that have been hit, U.S. resources that have been hit in the Middle East. And with that, we are responding. And we're going to escalate. We're going to talk about that a little bit later as well. And with this, we're going to shift to, this is from Israel Defense Forces. The Shifa Hospital is not only the largest hospital in Gaza, but it also acts as the main headquarters for Hamas terrorist activity. And as Israel says, terrorism does not belong in a hospital, and the IDF will operate to uncover any terrorist infrastructure. Now, the thing is that they have like a network of tunnels underground, and they, being the Hamas, builds tunnels out under significant civilian structures, schools, hospitals, etc. And so how are they going to root those things out? And that's the rub of all of this, because if a lot of this stuff is buried underground and buried under hospitals and schools, you just can't, hit a missile into those things. How are you going to get in there and root those things out? And I do want to go back to this one and take a look at the hospitals right here. About halfway into the northern zone, they're looking to conduct the first part of this operation. At this point, it looks like Israel has penetrated the far northern reaches, northwest regions of Gaza by land and by sea. And that's the area they've occupied at this point. Now, there's some other little things taking place along the border, even down here in the south. But that's what appears to be taking place at this time. And so how are you going to get into those tunnels? I've read some articles about they're going to send some robots in there to disarm some bombs. They say the place is booby-trapped, obviously. Israel also, somebody's claiming that Israel has like an expanding foam that they will release and seal off part of these tunnels, cut off air supply, and then people are just stuck in there. It's also where they move a lot of missiles and arms throughout these tunnel networks. So not going to be an easy task. And then, going back to the happenings here in the Middle East, there's been a response from the United States, and this is from Intel Schizo. And is what this guy does, I assume it's a guy, is he goes out and hits military resources and looks at different types of information and is putting together a map of what's taking place. And when you see what the United States, are sending over to the Mediterranean, you're like, oh my gosh, this is significant. And our world is changing as we speak. And this was updated as of last night. Got warships from the following countries. We got 5, 6, 7, 8, 11 different countries have issued ships to the theater, the Middle Eastern theater. I'm not going to list all of these off, but I'm going to hit the highlights. The Ford Carrier Strike Group, Eisenhower Carrier Strike Group, Baton. These are not assigned. So we have 5 5 ships not assigned. We got some international groups of ships. UNIFIL Maritime Task Force, Standing NATO Maritime Group 2. You have some other stuff that has yet to be assigned. Also, along with submarines and other support ships, work in progress will update daily. And so this is what it looks like. And you can see where these things are located at this time. Now, the rumor is the Eisenhower Strike Group is going to go from here, just crossed into the Mediterranean from the Straits of Gibraltar, is going to end up in the Persian Gulf, which would mean it'd have to come through the Mediterranean, down through the Suez Canal, and around the Arabian Peninsula into the Persian Gulf, which would be over here somewhere. Resources off of Italy. Closest to, you have a multinational force here. British resources here. And the USS Ford aircraft carrier and its resources here. NATO has some resources off the coast of Greece and Turkey. A lot of equipment. Lots of equipment in the Mediterranean. And the USS Ford, which was recently deployed closer to Israel, will reportedly be transitioning to an advanced laser defense system. So it's currently off the coast of Israel. New technology, a laser pointer, it's invisible, can target specifically a specific area on a target. It's invisible. It's cheap. Um, where is the? We'll leave that infrared laser. I keep showing all these other things where it's just firing a gun. And this is not like this. Laser travels at the speed of light. Any threat takes it out. Multiple shots without the need for traditional ammunition, offering significantly lower cost per shot. That's rug. So a single shot costs between $1 and $10. Defensive missiles can cost between $1 and $10 million. First tested in 2014. These were introduced to combat China's latest hypersonic missile. Now, China has a hypersonic missile. Russia has a hypersonic missile. Now, Putin says these things are pretty much indefensible. Our Navy says otherwise. Navy will soon be testing the Hellcat high-energy laser counter anti-ship cruise missile, a 300 kilowatt laser that would be able to counter a hypersonic weapon. Now, they say it's unclear if the aircraft carrier is currently equipped with one of these or not. We're going to throw this out there. Possible. Might have it. Oh, gosh. Also, rulers are swarming the USS Dwight D. Eisenhower Stryker Group is headed to the Persian Gulf. I covered that a little bit earlier, and I find that fascinating that this information was told from the Pentagon to Al Jazeera, which is essentially, a mouthpiece for Hamas. By the way, you might want to tell the Iranians we're going to send the Dwight D. Eisenhower Stryker Group. We're going to put it right on your front doorstep over there in the Persian Gulf. And Iran International English was one of the first ones to break this story. This was within other areas as well, which it's like, well, we'll just tell your friends, hey, this is coming. And don't forget, Chinese Defense Ministry confirms 6 warships in the Middle East, and they are in the Persian Gulf. 44th Naval Escort Task Force based in the region since May. Off the coast of Oman, hundreds of people. They're waving goodbye. Nice wave. It seemed real warm and genuine, didn't it? Chinese business interests came to see off the group. Guided missiles, missile destroyer, Omani Royal Navy, monitoring communications and formation movement. That's what they say they do. Well, they're in the Persian Gulf as well. President of the United States, Joe Biden, has delivered a war powers notification to Congress, notifying Congress of recent airstrikes against Iranian-backed militias in eastern Syria. We showed you that earlier. 15 different drone attacks and rocket attacks by these militias on U.S. forces in the Middle East. Here is the letter penned from Biden's office. Seriously doubt Joe wrote this. But he says he did, as I have reported previously. Militia groups affiliated with Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps have perpetrated, that's a big word, Joe, a series of attacks against the United States personnel and facilities in Iraq and Syria. Since October 17 this year, these militia groups have conducted numerous attacks using unmanned aerial devices and indirect fire, injuring U.S. service members. And I've heard we've had a couple killed, and we have a lot of folks with some head injuries just from the percussions of the explosions. And he does go on to mention we had somebody pass, cardiac incident, moving to shelter during one of these attacks. Attacks have placed under grave threat the lives of U.S. personnel and of coalition forces operating alongside the U.S. forces. It's like, yeah, you're not supposed to do that to our forces. It's like, what are you thinking? It's a war. United States forces conducted targeted strikes against facilities in eastern Syria, targeted the IRGC and affiliated groups for command control munitions. I saw some stuff talking about the munitions intended to establish deterrence and were conducted in a manner to limit the risk of escalation and avoid civilian casualties. I, says Joe, directed the strikes in order to protect and defend our personnel, to degrade and disrupt the ongoing series of attacks against the U.S., our partners, and to deter Iran and Iran-backed militia groups from conducting or supporting further attacks on United States personnel and facilities. That's a very long sentence. Now, I'm just saying, I don't know that he's capable of saying that, let alone typing it. Anyway, he's defending the right of the United States to defend itself. Like, we need to go to the UN Article 51 to do this, but they did it. Military action consistent with responsibility to protect the U.S. citizens both at home and abroad, and in furtherance of U.S. national security and foreign policy interests, pursuant to my constitutional authority as Commander-in-Chief and Chief Executive and to conduct United States foreign relations. Oh my gosh. Okay. Quotes Public Law 93-148. I am providing this report as part of my efforts to keep the Congress fully informed, consistent with the War Powers Resolution. That's what Joe says. So there goes a whole bunch of stuff. And the link's provided for those of you who want to read this and follow up on this accordingly. Now, this was sent to Mr. Speaker, and we do have a new speaker. Finally elected a speaker, Mike Johnson of Louisiana. And first act of speaker was a resolution in support of Israel. Reminder of everybody of Genesis 12, verse 3, I will bless those who bless you, and in him who dishonors you, I will curse, and in you all the families of the earth shall be blessed. And that would be in his son, Jesus. Quote from Speaker Johnson: the first bill I'm going to bring to this floor in a little while will be in support of our dear friend Israel, and we are overdue in getting that done. Well, he did it. Imagine that. A politician said, I'm going to do something, and then he actually did it. Resolution passed 402 to 10. 6 members voted present. Now, in the name of balance, let's see how the squad voted. I do have some links below provided to the squad. If you would like to reach out to the squad, please be civil to our public servants who we disagree with. These include Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez of New York, Ilhan Omar of Minnesota, Ayanna Pressley of Massachusetts, Rashida Tlaib of Michigan, Jamal Bowman of New York, and Cori Bush of Missouri. Also, you can read an article, a little background on our new speaker, some of the things he did in his first day. And we've got a Zeet from Bill Malugin of Fox. And let's take a look. These are the 10 nay votes. Some of these included members of the squad, including Bowman, Bush, Ocasio-Cortez, Omar, and Tlaib. 6 of these folks voted present, so they didn't say either way what they were going to do. They just said, yeah, I'm here, and I'm not voting, which essentially is, and I love that, doing nothing. Some people think, well, I didn't do anything. Well, no, but that's a choice. You did something by doing nothing. You weren't for it. We know that. There's another member of the squad from Massachusetts, Representative Pressley. And Castro, I've seen him some on TV from, I think he's down there around San Antonio. I could be wrong, or maybe that was Caesar. I'm not sure, or Cassar. At any rate, here's a group of those who said, nope, they're opposed to it. We had 6 who said, no, you just as well should have voted no instead of, take a stand. Stand for something, huh? Got more respect for these people, even though they said no, than standing there and sticking your finger in the air, playing politics. So, is what it is. And I know some people kind of snicker at Genesis 12, verse 3, just this idea that foreign policy decisions are affected by how you relate to God's people. But that's pretty much what God says straight up here in Genesis 12. I will bless those who bless you, and in him who dishonors you, I will curse. That's pretty straightforward. Now, God either means it or he doesn't. I take it he means it. I'd written about this. This would have been, oh gosh, when was this written? This would have been January of 2019, so almost 5 years ago now, a good 4.5 years ago. Predestined with free will, the nations. So you do have a choice, and if you choose, I mean, the Abrahamic covenant, just the way it's worded, I will bless those who bless you. So you have a choice whether or not, individually or corporately as a country, whether you're going to choose to relate to Israel one way or the other. So that implies, hey, you have a choice to decide how you're going to act toward these people. Now, God says if you act favorably toward them, I'll act favorably towards you. If you act negatively toward them, I will act negatively towards you. And then I hear the critic, well, they're not nice people. They got plenty of stuff they've done that's bad too. Yep, they're fallen. They're not perfect. I would also remind everybody they live in a very rough neighborhood. And if your neighbor would kick your door in and kill your family members and dismember them and post that on social media, how would you respond to that? I don't see Israel doing that to them, and it doesn't matter. I mean, wrong is wrong. How you treat somebody. I mean, I've seen some stuff that Israel has done to Dead Hamas terrorists. That's not necessary either. If they're dead, respectfully take care of their dead. No sense in degrading the dead. I mean, both sides do that. And then, the pushback on that too, it's like, well, Hamas was elected by the people of Palestine. And that's one thing that did backfire on the West. And this idea that, well, they didn't ask for this. Well, yeah, they did. They brought it to a vote. Now, whether or not that's fair doesn't matter. But how we respond to God and his people, no matter how good or bad they are, they're not perfect. We're not perfect. None of us. Humanity's not perfect. Humanity's a mess. And I don't see a whole lot of nice going on around in today's world and decency to our fellow human being. We have arguments and discussions about how humane somebody is and how they treat somebody in regards to war. Well, yeah, we don't do this. Well, but you're still killing them. And that's what it's going to take at some point. Somebody's going to have to step in and say, stop it. He's going to drop in out of heaven. And that's the thing too. He's going to clean the place up. He's going to get rid of the bad actors, and those people who do not relate to him, they're going to be eliminated. Now, I know that sounds harsh, but that's the reality of what it says. And he's going to start fresh with those people who relate to him and what his way of thinking is, what his rules are, what his word is. And if you don't like that, well, it's not going to work well for you. But that's what it says. And this nation's predestined with free will. Why should the nation say, where is their God? Our God is in heaven. He does all that he pleases. Oh, that just irritates people. What? Can you believe God has the nerve to just do whatever he wants? If you believe in him. And he did not consult me. God is in control over the nations, yet the nations have free will to choose their destiny. And, again, it goes back to the Abrahamic covenant. And then we get a good dose of it in Psalm 2. Break it down from Psalm 2. So if you'd like to read that, check that out, PaulthePoke.com. Predestined with free will, the nations. And then we're going to close Luke 21, verse 25. And there will be signs in the sun and moon and stars, and on earth distress of nations and perplexity because of the roaring of the sea and the waves. Now, this was crazy what happened off the coast of Mexico a couple of days ago. Hurricane Otis in the eastern Pacific has unexpectedly, explosively intensified from a tropical storm to a Category 4 hurricane in just 12 hours. At the time of this tweet, the storm is expected to make a catastrophic landfall tonight as a Category 5 hurricane near Acapulco, home to 1 million people. So imagine, this storm hit at 2 o'clock in the morning. So imagine it's 2 o'clock in the afternoon and you're on the coast or you're nearby and all you're hearing is, okay, we got a little tropical storm out there. Mostly going to be a rain event, or winds up to 45, 50 miles per hour. And you shut her down and go to bed. And at 2 o'clock in the morning, this massive storm, sustained winds of 165, gusts up to 220. It's a tornado. It's a massive tornado with water and wind. And, oh boy. And the intensification of this, it's never happened before. Science in all its glory didn't have this in any of its models. Completely fooled science. They didn't see it coming. Uh, a major hurricane, category 3 or more, had never made landfall within 50 miles of Acapulco, let alone a 5, category 5. And Otis could become the first, it did become the first Eastern Pacific hurricane ever to make landfall as a category 5 in Mexico. So, at the point it was like, hey, get out. But again, this intensification took place in 12 hours. I mean, again, I use the example, hit at 2 in the morning, 2 o'clock in the afternoon the day before. Might be a little cloudy. Okay, we got some rain coming. You got more than that. Pretty fascinating to watch that go down. Wow. And of course, no one's there. The place is cut off, communication cut off. Here's some footage and drones, the aftermath of what hit. And these were nice beachfront hotels on the coast in Acapulco. And then you got people walking around. I mean, it's crazy. Look at this. It's just like this up and down the beach. High rise after high rise. Complete destruction. All the windows. Look at that. All the windows blown out on that hotel. All of it. I mean, the pickup will be going on forever. So no food, no water, no communications. Pretty much cut off from the rest of Mexico. And then this also happened. This is 3 days ago. Digital yuan out of China has been used for the first time to settle an oil transaction. So here they come, commodities and central bank digital currencies, CBDCs. So, the electronic yuan, the electronic monetary unit. Hey, it's good. Trust us. And that has started. Quite a week. I'm sure I'll have plenty of other things to report on. If you guys enjoyed this, please feel free to share with others at PaulthePoke.com. If you are not a subscriber, please feel free to type your email address here, type subscribe. And thank you to all those folks who reach out, comment, follow, watch, share, etc. It's greatly appreciated. Get the word out. Like Jesus says, this is not the end, but is this the beginning of what will kickstart all of this? I don't know the answer to that. I do know this: what we're seeing now, as we get closer, will become more intense, and the distance and time between the events will shorten, like birth pangs. So if we think this is bad, it's going to become more severe and more frequent. That's what Scripture says. So y'all take care. Have yourself a great week. Appreciate y'all following along. Bye.